Dolly, and my channel name is Tea Time with Dolly and Thrifty Living. I'm glad you can join me today. Get your favorite drink. I've got my drink, and let's get started. I'd like to talk today about frugal foods. I know so many people are having a tough time right now, and I just want to talk about some foods that are very inexpensive and that can really stretch a meal. So I know there's been a lot of talk about foods, and the reason is because there is, that's one way that you can cut expenses is on groceries. A lot of things you really can't cut if you have a loan or something like that, or rent. It's a definite amount that you pay each month. So your groceries, though, is something that you can make cuts on. I need my notes with me just so I don't forget some things. I just recently read on a YouTube video where somebody had made a comment that for two people, I'm assuming it was her and her husband, that they spend $800 a month on food, on groceries. And I'm thinking, $800? That is a lot of money. Even if they were to buy their cleaning supplies and paper products, for two people, that's still a lot of money. So I want to talk about ways to cut down on cost of food. And first of all, number one, of course, is not eating out in restaurants, fast foods or takeaways, because all of those you are being charged for them to prepare the food for you. So, I mean, I'm not saying don't ever go out and eat, but if you're going to, don't make it a regular thing if you're wanting to save money. Okay, when you shop for groceries, always take a shopping list. Look in your pantry, look in your refrigerator, and look in your freezer, and see what you already have. It might be a good idea at this time when you take an inventory just to take all those things out of your pantry, wipe them down, and clean out your pantry. Then you'll know exactly what you have, and check the dates on them, on the items. If they're expired or getting ready to expire, that's what you want to use up first. And just because they're expired or ready to expire doesn't necessarily mean that you have to throw them away. Just look at them. If it's something refrigerated, smell it, look at it, make sure there's no mold on it, and determine if it's still good. I mean, you can kind of tell like that. And if it's a pantry item, that's something made out of grain like flour, pancake mix, rice, or things like that. Open up the box all the way where you can really look down in there if it's old. And if you see little tiny webs and little bugs, the webs is definitely a good sign that there's little bugs that's hatched out in it. So that would definitely be something that needs to go. And same way with the moldy food in the refrigerator. And then check your freezer. See what's in there. See what you have and what's the oldest. And use up the oldest things. And then make out a menu with what you have. The things that are expired or that you need to throw away, if you set those out on your table or your cabinet and just look at them and think approximately what you paid for them, that is money that you're throwing away. I mean, obviously, if they're bad, you need to throw them away. But if you stop and think, how many hours did I work to buy those? It can really make you think that we don't want to be wasteful, because that's when you're throwing those away, you're throwing your money away that you worked hard for. So going to talk about some foods that are what I call frugal foods because, you know, they're things that's less expensive and that will stretch a meal quite a bit. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. If you're if you're buying flour, pancake mix, rice, any of those dried grain products, and there's a great sale, so you stock up on it, but you're going to have it for a while because you've got several. If you put those, when you first buy them, put them in the freezer for 3 to 5 days, and then take them out. That will kill the little bug eggs that's in there that you don't see, so they don't go bad. At least that's what I've read. Some sources say up to 5 days, some say 3 days. And if you don't have room in your freezer, say you buy 10 bags of flour and you don't have room to put all of it in your freezer, just put 1 bag at a time and then take that one out after 5 days and put another bag in. And if they're in a paper bag, of course, put it in a plastic bag that would keep it airtight or keep the paper from getting wet or frost on it. Maybe a nice clean unused trash bag would do. Okay, so make your menu ideas using the things that's the older things that you've just taken out of your pantry and out of your refrigerator. And I'm going to talk about some of the less expensive foods. And one of them is rice. Just a plain bag of rice. Now I have the brown rice because I think it's probably a little healthier, or at least I feel like it is. So, but if you buy this will make a lot of dishes of rice. And rice, I don't remember what I paid for some of these things, but they're on the cheap side because you can get a lot of meals out of 2 pounds of rice. So if you take a big pan, or if you have a rice cooker, that's great. I don't have one, but if you take a big pan and cook up a bunch of it, what you don't use for the meal that day, you can save the rest in the refrigerator, probably for 4 or 5 days. And so you can probably just cook up enough for 2 or 3 meals and then put the rest in a container. And rice is something that you can do so much with. You can add vegetables to it, you can put it in soups, and you can make rice pudding, you can use them in burritos, haystacks. My mom, the only way I can remember eating it as a child, my mom used to cook rice, and we would eat it for like cereal, hot cereal. We'd just put milk and sugar on it, and that's the only way I learned to eat it until I became an adult and I realized, oh, other people have rice in all kinds of dishes that I didn't know about then. So since then I've learned to use rice in a lot of ways. Okay, and potatoes. Okay, 1 bag of potatoes. I don't remember what this cost. It's 5 pounds. Probably $3 and something, I'm not sure. But you know, it's going to make several dishes out of that. So I think that's a pretty thrifty food, frugal food. Potatoes, you can do a lot with them. You can bake them, fry them, use them in soups, casseroles, etc. They're a lot like rice in that whatever you're using in there to flavor them. Now some rice may be different. I haven't even eaten a lot of different kinds. I usually just stick to the brown rice, and of course I used to have white rice. Some of the may be more flavorful, but with these, they get most of their flavor, I think. Same way with potatoes, from what you put in them, your seasoning, and your vegetables and onions and things. Okay, of course potatoes you can use in casseroles and just all kinds of things you can do with potatoes. And the next thing is eggs. A dozen eggs has 12 servings. 1 serving for each egg. And eggs is something that the price goes up and down, but even when it's high, like a $1.50 a dozen, that comes out to 12.5 cents per serving. I'd say that's pretty good. And a lot of times I think I only paid, I'm not sure, 59 cents maybe for that carton. So that really made it cheap. So eggs is a really good thing. You can have them fried, poached, boiled. You can use them in baked goods, salads, casseroles, etc. Okay, the next thing that I want to mention is pasta. This is whole grain pasta, and that's spaghetti. Now they have them in little boxes that you don't have to break them, they're already broke. But pastas is something that's really not all that expensive, and you can do a lot of things with them. They go a long ways. You can add them to soups, you can use them in salads, casseroles, you know, like spaghetti and some of those noodles, Alfredo sauce or spaghetti sauce. So they can really stretch a meal without it being expensive. And then the number 5 is dried beans. Now these are black beans, a bag of black beans, and a bag of pinto beans. Of course, there's several different kinds of beans. This is the 2 that I happen to have right now. I usually try to keep more than one kind. And you can take a big pan and cook a whole bag, or if you've got a large bag, maybe half a bag. Or if you have a big enough pan, you cook a whole big bag. I like to cook them, and then, well, first of all, let me tell you how I cook them. You need to rinse them and kind of check them as you know, just kind of let them drift through your fingers and check as you're rinsing them. Make sure there's not any teeny tiny pebbles or little clods of dirt. Usually there's not. But sometimes when they combine the beans and shell the beans, there can be. I have found it before. So you need to rinse them and kind of check them. And then soak them for several hours or overnight. When you're ready to cook them the next day, drain the water off and put fresh water on. And since they've been soaked, they will cook a little bit faster than if they're not. And I think they're better when you soak them first. Okay, now the beans, I said, whatever's left over, what you don't use at that meal, you can freeze. And I'll show you here. This one got kind of bunched up a little bit, but I like to use those gallon bags to freeze the beans in. It's got a little frost on and flatten it out where it's not too thick. Then when you just want some beans for a salad or soup or something, you can just take it and kind of, you know, bend on it real hard and break it, and just break off a chunk. And you know, if you've got a lot of beans in the pan, you can use several bags. Make sure you've got several of the gallon bags. And of course, let your beans cool so they not too hot in the bag. Let them cool just a little bit, and then put them in your bags and smash them out, you know, flat like this, so you can stack one on top of the other one. Then also, I like to keep little packs of pasta. These are I think they're pronounced maybe Knorr, I'm not sure. But I only pay like $1 a pack. They're supposed to be for one side serving, but they make quite a bit for just a side for one person. But if you have a family, you might want to cook 2 bags, but you can add vegetables to them, or some more cheese. You could add some cooked meat in it, or veggie meat, whichever you want, or just eat them as it is. But if you want to stretch it, make it go farther, you can just add stuff to these. I seen on one YouTube video where one lady said that she actually, I don't know what brand she had, but she said some of the little pasta mixes, she actually adds to her soup. And that would probably be good. I may try that one of these days. I just recently heard that. So I thought that would probably make the soup a little creamier and put a little pasta in it too. So I think that would be good. So I hope that this has give you some ideas on inexpensive meals. And of course, one of the ways too to save money on grocery items is to not buy a lot of junk food and things like that. That's just really no nutrition to them. All they are is fattening calories. So if you cut a lot of that out, that saves you money right there, and cook from scratch. So if you like this video, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up, click on that, and I hope to see you next week. May God bless you. Bye.